Have you ever wondered why the smartest people you know often seem the loneliest? Think about it. Maybe it's that friend who always has deep insights, who can solve problems quickly, who notices things others don't. On the outside, they seem confident, even admired. But when the noise of the world fades, they're often sitting in silence, feeling a kind of emptiness most people will never understand. And maybe, just maybe, that person is you. You see, intelligence is often celebrated as a gift, but what no one tells you is that it can also be a curse, because the more aware you are, the harder it becomes to just go along with things. You can't laugh at meaningless conversations. You can't force yourself to enjoy gossip or shallow small talk. And slowly you begin to realize you're not lonely because you have no one around. You're lonely because so few people actually see you. This is the silent battle that so many intelligent minds fight every single day. A battle between connection and isolation, between wanting to belong and struggling to find anyone who truly understands. And if you've ever felt that weight, like you're carrying thoughts too heavy to share, then this video is for you. Stay with me because we're going to peel back the layers of this quiet truth and explore why smart people often feel more alone and how this solitude can transform into a source of strength. Let's start here with awareness. You've probably heard the saying, ignorance is bliss. And while it may sound cliché, there's a painful truth hidden in those words. The more intelligent you are, the more you notice about people, about the world, about yourself. Most people can scroll endlessly through their phones, gossip about celebrities, or laugh at meaningless jokes without a second thought. But a deeper mind often can't. Why? Because awareness sharpens everything. You see the patterns, you sense the contradictions. You notice when someone's lying, when someone's pretending, when conversations lack authenticity. And once you notice, you can't unsee it. At first, this feels powerful, like a secret strength. But over time, it begins to separate you from others. Think about it. How many times have you sat in a group, listening to chatter about trivial things, and felt completely detached? You smile, you nod, but deep inside you feel like an outsider. It's not arrogance, it's simply that your mind craves depth, and the world often serves you only surface-level noise. This is where the loneliness begins. Because the more you see, the harder it becomes to fit in. And that awareness, the very thing that makes you smart, becomes a quiet wall between you and the people around you. It's almost like living in two worlds at once. On the outside, you're present, polite, maybe even social. But on the inside, you're drifting, thinking about life, meaning, the future, questions that no one around you seems to care about. And this creates a kind of invisible isolation. People see you, but they don't really know you. They interact with you, but they don't understand the depth of what's happening inside your mind. And so while others are bonding over surface-level joys, you're left searching for something more, something that feels real. This is the curse of awareness. It gives you clarity, but it takes away comfort. It makes you wise, but it makes belonging harder. And slowly you start to realize that maybe intelligence isn't just about solving problems or thinking deeply. It's also about carrying the weight of seeing too much, too clearly. And the question is, what do you do with that weight? Do you hide it? Do you numb it? Or do you embrace it? That's where the story begins. Let me ask you something. How many times have you been in a room full of people smiling, laughing, maybe even talking for hours, yet deep inside, you felt completely disconnected? It's strange, isn't it? You're not alone, but you feel lonelier than ever. This is one of the biggest reasons why smart people often struggle with loneliness. Conversations that feel empty. You see, for most people, talking is simply a way to pass time. Small talk, gossip, jokes, endless debates about trivial things. It's all just social glue. But for someone who thinks deeply, who questions life, who craves meaning, these conversations can feel like chewing cardboard. No matter how much you chew, it never satisfies you. And here's the painful part. You can't always show it. Because if you tell people that you're bored, they think you're arrogant. If you ask deeper questions, they might think you're too much. So what do? You smile politely, you laugh when you're supposed to, you nod at the right moments. Outwardly, you blend in. But inwardly, you're starving. You're starving for conversations that make you feel alive, discussions that open your mind instead of closing it, words that carry weight, stories that carry truth. But those conversations are rare, and finding people who can share them with you is even rarer. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine you're standing in a crowded party. Music is playing, people are laughing, the room is buzzing with energy, but instead of feeling connected, you feel like an observer, watching a play where everyone else knows their role, and you're just pretending. That's what happens when your mind craves depth in a world built on surface-level noise. It's not that you dislike people. It's not that you think you're better. It's that you want more. You want the kind of conversation that leaves you thinking for days, the kind that sparks something real inside you. And when you don't get it, every interaction feels like a performance. Over time, this can be exhausting, because pretending drains you, smiling drains you. Acting like you care about things you don't drains you. And slowly, you retreat. Retreat, not because you hate people, but because the emptiness of shallow connection feels heavier than the silence of being alone. But here's the paradox. While you crave solitude, you also crave connection. You want someone who understands, who doesn't look at you strange when you ask, "Do you ever feel like life is moving too fast?" Or, "What do you think happens after all this?" You want someone who can sit in silence with you, and it doesn't feel awkward. It feels complete. Yet the world rarely gives you that. And so you drift between two extremes, either drowning in conversations that don't matter, or isolating yourself to escape them. Both leave you feeling alone, but for different reasons. And that's when the real question begins to haunt you. Am I the problem? Or is the world simply not built for people who think this way? This is where loneliness deepens. Not just the loneliness of being without people, but the loneliness of not being understood. And if you've ever walked away from a group, gone home, sat on your bed in silence and thought, "Why do I feel so empty when I should feel connected?" then you know exactly what I mean, because sometimes the hardest part about being smart isn't solving problems. It's realizing that most people don't even see the problems you see. And when they don't, you're left carrying thoughts that no one else wants to share. That's the weight of empty conversations. But there's another layer to this loneliness, and it's not just about others. It's about what's happening inside you. And to understand that, we have to go deeper. Let me ask you something personal. Have you ever felt like no matter what you do, people always expect more from you? That no matter how much you achieve, it's never enough? This is the silent burden smart people often carry, the crushing weight of expectations. From the moment others notice your intelligence, something shifts. Teachers expect you to always be the top student. Family expects you to always make the right choices. Friends expect you to always have the answers. Society expects you to live an extraordinary life. It sounds flattering at first, being called gifted, special, or different. But soon, those words stop feeling like compliments and start feeling like chains, because when people put you on a pedestal, you can't just be yourself anymore. You have to play a role. And here's the painful part. Once the world sees you as the smart one, they rarely allow you to be vulnerable, lost, or confused. If you struggle, they're shocked. If you fail, they're disappointed. If you admit you don't know something, they question you. So instead, you hide it. You hide your doubts, your insecurities, your fears. You hide the fact that sometimes you don't want to be strong. But what happens when you carry expectations that heavy? Slowly, you stop living for yourself and start living for the image others have of you. Let me share a story. Imagine a young boy, always praised for being intelligent. Every time he solves a puzzle, every time he answers a question in class, people clap. He feels proud, at first. But then something changes. The applause turns into pressure. The puzzles get harder, the questions get bigger. And one day he realizes he's no longer solving for joy. He's solving to avoid disappointing others. That boy grows up into an adult who achieves a lot on paper. A great career, maybe money, maybe recognition. But deep inside, he feels tired. Because everything he's built, he built under someone else's shadow. And when he finally looks at himself in the mirror, He wonders, who am I when I'm not performing for the world? That's the heartbreaking truth. Expectations create distance. People admire you, but they don't always see you. They love the version of you that succeeds, not the version of you that struggles. And so, the more successful you become, the lonelier you feel. It's like standing on a stage under a spotlight. The audience claps for you, they admire you, but none of them are truly with you. They don't know your sleepless nights. They don't hear the doubts in your head. They only see the mask, never the person wearing it. And slowly you begin to wonder, if I took off this mask, would anyone stay? Here's the paradox. Being smart often means people assume you don't need help. They think you've got it all figured out. But intelligence doesn't erase loneliness. It doesn't erase fear. It doesn't erase the simple human need to be loved, not for what you can do, but for who you are. And that's the cruelest part of the weight of expectations. It isolates you. Because while the world celebrates your achievements, they forget that behind every brilliant mind is a human heart, quietly aching to be seen without conditions. So if you've ever felt like you're carrying the world on your shoulders, like one wrong move would shatter the image people have of you, then you know this truth deeply. The world admires you, but admiration is not the same as connection. And when admiration is all you get, connection becomes harder to find. This is why so many smart people feel alone, not because they lack people around them, but because they lack people who allow them to just be. But loneliness isn't just about people or expectations. Sometimes it's about the battles that live only inside your own head. And that's where we need to go next. Have you ever tried to fall asleep, but your mind just wouldn't stop? The room is quiet, your body is tired, but inside your head, thoughts keep spinning like a wheel that never slows down. For many smart people, this is not just an occasional experience, it's a way of life, and it can feel like being locked inside a prison with invisible bars. You see, intelligence is a gift. It allows you to see patterns others don't, to ask questions others ignore, to imagine possibilities others can't. But here's the paradox. The sharper your mind, the harder it is to turn it off. Every decision becomes 100 possibilities. Every mistake becomes 1,000 what-ifs. Every silence becomes an analysis. And so, while the world is moving forward, you're often stuck inside your head, replaying, rethinking, reanalyzing. It feels safe at first, doesn't it? Overthinking gives you a sense of control, like if you think long enough, you'll find the perfect answer. But here's the truth. Overthinking rarely leads to clarity. It often leads to paralysis. Think about it. How many times have you wanted to do something, send a message, take a risk, follow a dream, but your mind held you back with questions like, what if I fail? What if they judge me? What if I'm not enough? You wait for certainty that never comes, and while you're waiting, life quietly passes you by. Here's the painful part. People around you may not even notice your struggle. They might see you as confident, calm, intelligent. But inside, your thoughts are loud, messy, exhausting. It's like being in a crowded room where everyone is talking at once, and all the voices belong to you. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine a brilliant young woman admired by everyone for her wisdom. On the outside, she looks composed, but at night, she lies awake, replaying conversations, analyzing every word she said, every glance she noticed, every silence she left unfilled. By morning, she's exhausted, not from lack of sleep, but from carrying the weight of a mind that never rests. That's the hidden cost of overthinking. It drains your energy, it steals your peace, and slowly it isolates you. Because when your mind becomes your prison, no one else can enter. And here's the cruel irony. The more intelligent you are, the more believable your thoughts seem. You don't just overthink, you outsmart yourself. You convince yourself of fears that may never exist, of problems that may never come, of failures that may never happen. So instead of living, you're always preparing for life. Instead of experiencing the moment, you're analyzing it. Instead of connecting with people, you're silently dissecting every gesture, every word, every pause. It's exhausting, isn't it? To be so aware, so awake, so analytical, that the world feels heavier on your shoulders. And maybe this is why smart people often feel alone. Because even when surrounded by others, they're living inside their own labyrinth of thoughts, and not everyone can follow them there. But let me ask you this. What if your mind is both the prison and the key? What if the same intelligence that traps you can also free you? Because here's the truth. Overthinking is not about intelligence, it's about fear. Fear of being wrong, fear of being judged, fear of losing control. And once you see that, you realize you don't need to silence your mind completely, you just need to guide it. Instead of asking, what if I fail? Ask, what if I grow? Instead of asking, what will they think of me? Ask, what do I think of myself? Instead of replaying the past, ask, how can I use this moment right now? That shift doesn't erase loneliness overnight, but it opens the door to freedom. Because when you stop living inside the prison of overthinking, you create space for joy, for connection, for being truly alive. And maybe, just maybe, that's the first step toward feeling less alone. But there's one more layer to this story we need to face, because loneliness isn't just about overthinking or expectations or even social differences. At its core, it's about something deeper, the search for meaning, and that's where we're going next. Let me ask you something deeply personal. When was the last time you felt truly understood? Not just heard, not just seen, but understood, in the way where someone looks at you and says, I get it. I felt that too. If you're a smart person, chances are it's been a while, because the truth is intelligence doesn't just create insight, it creates distance. You think deeply, you question things others take for granted, you notice patterns others miss. And that depth, while beautiful, can also feel isolating. But here's where the story turns. Loneliness isn't just a burden, it's also a sign. A sign that what you're searching for isn't just company, but connection. And not just any connection, but the kind rooted in meaning. Think about it. How many conversations in your life are about the weather, about routines, about surface-level updates? And how many times have you sat there, nodding politely, while inside you're screaming for something deeper, something real? This hunger for meaning is why smart people often feel alone, because small talk feels shallow, superficial friendships feel empty. They don't want just company, they want understanding. They want someone who can sit with their thoughts, wrestle with their questions, share in their search for truth. And yet, that kind of connection is rare. It takes time, it takes patience, and it takes courage. Courage to show who you really are. Courage to risk being misunderstood. Courage to say, this is what I think, this is what I feel, this is me. But here's the paradox. Loneliness, as painful as it is, can actually push you toward meaning. It forces you to ask the bigger questions. What kind of people do I want around me? What kind of conversations do I crave? What kind of life feels true to me? And in that questioning lies freedom, because instead of settling for connections that drain you, you begin to seek the ones that sustain you. Instead of hiding your depth, you start to share it. Instead of fearing your solitude, you start to embrace it as the space where you grow. Let me share a story. There was once a man who spent years feeling like an outsider. His thoughts were too heavy, his questions too strange. People told him to lighten up, to just enjoy life. But he couldn't. He wasn't built that way. For a long time, he thought something was wrong with him. Until one day, he met a small circle of people who shared his hunger for meaning. Conversations with them weren't small, they were electric. They made him feel alive. And for the first time, he realized he wasn't broken. He was just searching for a different kind of connection. That's the truth most smart people need to hear. You are not broken, you are not too much. You are simply wired for depth. And depth is rare, which makes it harder to find, but infinitely more valuable when you do. So here's the question I'll leave you with. What if loneliness isn't a curse, but a compass? What if it's pointing you away from noise and toward meaning? Away from empty connections and toward true ones? Away from a life that looks good on the outside and toward a life that feels real on the inside? Because maybe the reason smart people feel more alone isn't because they're destined to be outsiders, but because they're destined to search deeper, love harder, and live more authentically than most. And maybe that's not loneliness at all. Maybe that's the path to a life of truth. So the next time you feel that ache of loneliness, don't rush to silence it, listen to it. Because hidden inside that ache may be your greatest gift, the drive to find meaning and to create connections that are not just company, but home.